a few days ago, I was down in our basement and came upon a beautiful surprise, one I was totally not expecting. I take plants downstairs. I have a windowsill that I take a few plants and keep them there for the winter. And I happened to notice that one of them was blooming profusely. It was turned towards the outside of the window, so I didn't see it at first. But it's a Christmas cactus, and it was just blooming its little heart out, even though it's just November. The beautiful pink blossoms were so cheery and bright, and such an unexpected sight. This cactus happens to be a piece of one that originally came from my grandparents' farmhouse in central Iowa. The original plant was huge. It sat in front of a south-facing bay window and literally filled that entire space. Many starts came from that original plant. My dad took pieces, that I got pieces, and he passed those on, and I know that happened with many of our family members. And so many of these plants from the original one live on in our extended family's homes today. You know, and it's funny how something like that plant blooming so profusely could bring up so many memories. I've heard a lot of stories over the years about life on the family farm, and the Robinsons endured a lot of hard times over the years. They farmed with horses during the Depression. I've seen pictures of my dad and my grandpa with horses. The family raised 5 children at a time when money was tight and supplies were short, and they had to just get by on what they could from day to day. One of my uncles had polio when he was around 5 years old and had a limp for the rest of his life. One of his brothers, another of my uncles, contracted polio in the latter years of World War II and was on an iron lung for weeks and weeks. They honestly didn't even expect him to survive, but he did. The lasting effects of the polio, however, left him with a limp, respiratory issues, and a curled hand, and that remained with him for the rest of his days. I'm so positive that the one thing that saw them through the hard times, these that I've mentioned and many others, was their deep and abiding faith. My family attended a little country church a few miles away from their home, from the farm. And I know my grandpa taught Sunday school for years and years, and the roots of their faith were planted every bit as deep as the crops they grew every year in the rich, dark soil of central Iowa. Their faith gave them hope and the ability to endure whatever hardships came their way. So every time I look at my Christmas cactus, and especially when it's blooming so beautifully as it is right now, that piece of a piece of a piece that came from the original cactus in my grandparents' dining room, I sense that hope, the roots of faith, and all of those things that ran so deep in my family and live in me today. I know the hard times my grandparents and the rest of the family went through, and yet their faith was rock solid. Their belief that God would be with them in all their circumstances. I'm so grateful for this heritage and for the hope in Jesus Christ that I see every time I look at those beautiful blossoms in my own Christmas cactus. Romans 12:12 says, "Rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, be constant in prayer." Always hope. God bless you.